Hello everyone, and welcome to my stream. Sorry, I'm out of breath, I just ran upstairs. This jumper is filthy. So today, my plan is to finish my portrait. So I hope you can hear me. Let me know if you can't. Let me know. So today I'm going to work on the hand. So I'm going to finish the hand, basically. And then that'll be me done. I might do a bit of tidying up around the cuff, which you can't see on the screen. Going to finish the hand. There's a little bit of funkiness going on here, so I need to tidy it up. I'm going to blend in the beard into that shadow that I created. I'm going to turn on the fan because it's quite warm in here. So as always, let me know what you think. Great to see you all again. And as I say, I'm going to continue the hand. See if I can get going a little bit. I think this finger needs a bit more definition. It needs some lightness, it needs some darkness. It needs a bit more red in the shadow, I think, down here. Just like the thumb. I think the red works quite well, or the magenta. Adds a bit of definition, adds a bit of life. As if the hand is being lit up. So, let me get some water. I just realised I haven't really... to tidy them up. So I fixed my YouTube issue, by the way, if anyone's interested. I spoke to Streamlabs and they said just log out of everything basically, remove all the permissions, and start again, turn it off and on again. I think I'm going to spend this weekend trying to work out how to stream both horizontally and vertically, because that means I can stream simultaneously to places like TikTok and Instagram and YouTube and Facebook, and it doesn't matter which way you're orientating the phone. The stream should work out what it's doing. So yeah, that is my plan. Anyway, magenta. For the skin, well, for the hand, we obviously need things like magenta. We need the flesh tone. We need white. Put a bit of Payne's grey down, just for the shadows. A bit of burnt sienna. So these are the colours I've been using for the skin tones. White, flesh tint, burnt sienna, magenta. So as always, let's get the colour on the palette. See what happens. Going to be a very chilled out stream today. As I say, I'm only doing the hand, and I'm going to fix that, and then voila, one of the best paintings I've ever done. Yes, it is of me. I'm sorry if I'm bragging, but I genuinely love it. You know when you do something and you're a bit apprehensive when you start, You were procrastinating a little bit. You just got on and did it. Honestly, that's what happened. Really, really good. Really, really, really pleased with how it's gone. Beyond all my expectations, this painting. Put a bit of burnt sienna down. Not very much. Just a dab. And obviously my magenta. Sort of pinky colour. So hope you're all well. Hope you all had a good week so far. My last stream was on Monday. Been away Tuesday, Wednesday. And I'm back today. To be honest, I didn't want to rest, but needs must. I'm starting a new painting on Sunday, so I need to get this finished. I need to get the YouTube video ready for next week. I think that's really important to keep on track with my schedule. Make sure I am releasing at least one video a week. Just getting some different colours down here. So let's have a go at this. As I said, I wanted to add a bit more depth and colour into the shadows down here. I'm going to go a little bit red. I'm not really looking at the reference image for this, I'm doing what I feel is right. I think feeling is obviously a lot of what we do as paint artists. You don't have to copy the image exactly, because sometimes the image just doesn't look how you would expect. It doesn't look real, even though obviously it is real. Also, cameras don't necessarily show you the right colour, so it's not always real. But I think allowing yourself to express yourself in a certain artistic manner is one of the key things to art in general. Because if you don't do that, then what's the point? What's the point in displaying what you're doing if you're just going to copy a photograph exactly? Word for word, well, not word for word, pixel per pixel. Oh look, I've written a new novel. It's exactly the same as a really good novel. I've copied it pretty much word for word. Plagiarism. Kind of the same with the with art, I guess. You don't need to copy things exactly. Which is why I'm a little bit like, you know, when people are copying images exactly. Okay, this is quite photorealistic, so this isn't a good example. This was more of a test on my ability than an artistic outcome, I think. When people do acrylic paintings from photographs, and they're really realistic, I don't really see the fundamental point in that, to be honest. And yes, I am being hypocritical because this is very photorealistic. But I was doing this for selfish reasons. I wanted to explore my ability, not necessarily the artistic ability here. So this is why I've done this quite photorealistic. But the point is, I'm saying, when you're doing art, the real skill, the real talent, I believe, and if you're using a reference image, understanding the way a photo should look, not necessarily the way it does look. And I think I do that very well. Yes, I know I'm blowing my own trumpet, but what's the point of having a YouTube channel if you don't blow your own trumpet? It's very unlike me to say those sort of things. So I'm adding a nice shadow here. I'm going to sharpen up this finger against the background. I'll probably come along with Payne's Grey and sharpen it up anyway. But yeah, as I was saying, this is the most photorealistic painting I've ever done. And because it's of me, that is, I guess, appropriate. Because I'm really trying to understand who I am. Really trying to understand the intricacies of who I am. And that's the reason why I'm doing it. But I'm also using it as a test of my skill. Because I've never even remotely thought about doing something to this level of detail before. And in a sense, you lose your artistic flair because it is so photorealistic. There's not a lot that I've designed here. But saying that, I am accentuating all the shadows, I'm accentuating all the highlights like I usually do. So maybe there is something to that. Maybe I am showing my artistic flair, but in a more subtle, different way. Like, for instance, I wouldn't necessarily put this on the wall because it's like a photo. If you come in and have a look at the art, if you are into art and you see this from a distance, you just think it's a photo. So it doesn't do the same thing as what art does. Because if you just glance at it, it doesn't draw your eye in because it's just a photo. It's not a painting. And that's not the kind of art that I tend to do. I tend to do the sort of eye-catching, grabbing, really need to grab someone's attention type thing. Otherwise, what's the point in art? If it's not grabbing your attention as you walk into the room, then surely that's a failed painting. And it has to have a meaning behind it as well. The piece of art that you're doing. Anyway, that's what I think about art. Everyone has their own viewpoint. I mean, being able to paint completely photorealistic, there's much better more talented artists out there who can paint things so realistic that it looks like a photo, that it looks exactly like a photo. You can't even tell the difference. But, as I was saying, I don't actually think, for me anyway, that's not necessarily the point of art. I don't know why you'd go so photorealistic if you're trying to represent something that you're doing. I think there needs to be a lot of emotion in art for it to be successful. I think perhaps we all sometimes forget about that, certainly engineers, and I'm an engineer, because it's very matter of fact. Everything's all matter of fact. It must be this, it must be that. So what I'm doing with these fingers is I'm putting quite a reddish, which isn't actually really on the photo. I'm putting quite a reddish border around the edges. So I think it really creates a bit of life. It looks like there's blood flowing through the fingers. It looks really quite, it just looks nice. It looks like something that perhaps there's life behind these fingers. Whereas I think in the image it's more brown colour. I'm trying to add life by adding a bit of red. Now the finger itself is extremely light, or the hand itself is extremely light in this photo. I'm trying to accentuate all that. Anyone's got any ideas what I do on Christmas Day? I'm in my house. I'm not around family this year. Let me know. I might do a Christmas Day stream. Create one painting on Christmas Day, maybe a large one. Semi-Christmas themed painting. On Sunday, I am starting a painting of a dog. So that will take me probably until maybe Saturday or Sunday, the week after. So make sure you tune in for that. It's a really fluffy dog. It's going to be very challenging. There's a lot of black and brown fluff. Yeah, make sure you look in for that. I think that's going to be an interesting painting, to be honest. Again, it's challenging. It's something slightly outside my comfort zone. I'm not really used to that sort of fluffy challenge. Fluffy challenge. Maybe I should call it the fluffy challenge. A little bit of a knuckle up here, so I'll just paint that in. That's your highlight that runs along here. Down here, there's the knuckle. So as you can see, I'm using that normal technique. I put the colour down. Really quite, not hard, but somehow blocky. Then I use the finger to sort of blend it in. I'm about to put a tiny bit of Payne's Grey down here. I'm hopefully going to mix it in really quite nicely with the brush, and then use my finger to dab it, and then sort of smudge it in. From a distance, that looks like I've just created a knuckle, even though I've used some very block colours there. I'm just going to do the same down here just to extend that shadow. Perhaps there's a darker bit here. I'm going to dab it out with my finger again. Put the paint on, dab it out. Keep doing it until the process looks like you've got a nice shadow. That's one of the ways I like to do a very detailed shadow. And actually there's a nice sort of line there. A couple of... So again, I'm going very close to the painting on this. I am copying the painting, the picture, sorry. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want this to be quite photorealistic. And also, I want to learn how to do hands. I'm not very good at hands. just going to fade it out with a bit of the skin tone. Might do that up here as well a little bit. Yeah, I think that works quite well there. I think that's really quite nice. There's probably that finger done. So I then need to move on to the next one. The next one is very similar in the way it's sort of situated. So I'm just going to grab the same colours and use the same formula that I did last time. So I'll start off with this shadow here. Comes sort of like this, back on itself and then back like that. I'm going to take a bit of the Payne's Grey, which is the darkest colour I'm using on this painting. I'm just going to put it in there. I'm just going to dab it so it's nice. I'm actually going to take off a bit of this finger. There we go, I think that works quite nicely. Might do the same with this one. So it's a little bit sharper. I think we need to have the finger standing out, the hand standing out. One of the big subjects of this painting is the hand, is the expression denoted from the hand that I've drawn, and it's deliberately supposed to be a sort of pondering look with a bit of a cheeky grin, but also with a bit of tiredness on my face, as if I'd been through a long day. And I think I got the photo quite nice, the expression there. Because it shows the character. Like, my housemate was asking me, why have you taken a bad photo? Why are you looking so tired in it? And I'm like, because that's the expression of, that's one of the themes of the painting. Just general tiredness and slightly worn out look. I was going to give this as a gift to someone. I'm not sure I'd give myself a painting of myself as a gift to someone, to be honest. But if I was, I'd almost certainly use a better photo reference image. Well, not a better one. Because technically, I think this is quite a good reference image, but more of a characterful one, I guess. I've gone a bit too far with that, but that's fine. I'll just paint over it. I think that finger needs to come down a bit, actually, come in a bit. I think I've got that wrong. So I'll do that. Ooh. So that comes down like that, and then round like that. Just blend it in. just doing the outside of the hand now, just making sure I've got the sharpness there. So I've got something to paint against. I think I might have got the shape of that knuckle wrong, actually. Let me go back and redraw that. I'm going to paint over this. Then I'm going to bring this down, and then very quickly it starts heading off in this direction. Not that quickly, but I think that works there. Yeah, I think that works quite well. I'm going to go in my darker colour again. Basically copy exactly what I've been doing with the other ones. I'm just adding that slightly vibrant pink on there. I think it brings out certain shades. I'll get the magenta as well down there. Probably should have done the burnt sienna on this bit, but that's fine. I'll do that later. It looks more vibrant on the screen than it does on real life, this. I'm going to turn it down now with this burnt sienna. Let me just add a little bit more onto the palette. So this isn't going to be a long stream. I'm just going to finish off the hand. I'm going to stop when I'm happy with the hand, and then I'm just going to quickly tidy up the bit of the face that I was talking about. So just fuzzying out that line, making it a bit more blurred than it was. The shadow is coming out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get some tan colour and just paint it right over it. Just to soften the, not tan, skin tone, flesh tint, that's the one. I don't like the way it's called flesh tint, it just doesn't feel right, because, well, everyone's flesh is a totally different colour. Or I guess maybe this is actually a colour. And also, it's vastly different from any tint that I know as a flesh tint. It does complement a lot of things. It's very easy to get a flesh colour out of this tint by adding either a brown or a white or a pink. So maybe that's why it's called flesh tint. Actually quite a big shadow on the other side as well, so let me do exactly the same as I just did. Starts about here. And again, I'm just going to make sure I've got the border of the hand exactly where we need it. So I'm just using some water to sort of fade out that colour a little bit. I'm going to grab the sort of pinky colour just to soften this a bit. So what you will notice on this, I've only really used 4 colours. So I'm using the burnt sienna as the shadow, then I'm softening it up with pink, and then from there I'm layering it up with this flesh tint colour. And then I've got white in there as well. So, and I'm actually not doing a lot of mixing, I'm just sort of plonking the colour on the canvas. So I'm mixing on the canvas rather than on the palette. Now the reason I'm doing is that because I have far more control over the colour. I have far more control over what the end product's going to look like, unless I mix the colour on the palette, then you don't have control over what colour is going to actually appear on the canvas. It might look fine on the palette, but as soon as you get near the canvas, it's completely wrong. So I'm using raw colours and just mixing it and blending it in with the existing wet paint, or the dry paint actually, because you can just blend it in like I'm doing there. So you get a nice gradient. So that's a bit darker that side. There is a bigger shadow there, which I'm now going to sort of blend in using my burnt sienna colour. Shadow starts there, sort of comes up like that. I'm just going to use my finger to blend it in, because why not? So yeah, so that's kind of what I'm doing here, just blending it in using my finger. I think you have much more control with your finger than you do with a brush, in my opinion. And it is my opinion. Everyone paints differently. I'm just gonna take that shadow down there. I'm gonna work with flash tint over here as well, because I haven't really done that yet. Then the next colour I use is white and go over the top of everything with just a white, sort of make it more tinted. So this is what so yeah, that's working quite nicely there. I notice there's a nice shadow on the back of my hand there, so I'm just going to grab the burnt sienna, do it really lightly there. Then I'm going to use my finger. Okay, that was a little bit too dry, unfortunately. I've just got a bit of water on there, and now I'll just really, really gently put it in. And when it's very wet, you can sort of spread it around a lot further. Because there's not a lot of density in it, it works really nicely. Now I'm going to have a go at the actual knuckles here. So I've already done one here, which is quite important. I'm just actually going to do some of this pink colour. Blend it in a little bit. Make sure that there's a good bit of definition there, so you can really see what it is. I'm going to tone it down again. That works. So you may have noticed I'm using a lot of water today. There's another knuckle about here. Hi Nanga. Thank you for telling me it's nice work. Really appreciate that. How are you today? How are you, Nanga? think Nanga's sound is off. He just messaged me. I know him, he's a friend of mine. From Kenya. So I'm putting the shadows in now, and then I'll go over it again with the flesh tint, I think. So I'm accentuating the colours on the hand more than I would usually, because actually the reference image is very, very white, the hand. It's like overexposed, as it were. So I'm trying to accentuate it, but because I'm doing that, I now need to very much accentuate the highlights as well. So I've done the shadows, and I think the shadows are looking pretty cool. Sorry, excuse me. But before I do the highlights, I'm going to go over it. I'm going to get a bit of Payne's grey down. A bit light. Because I'm going to do the wrinkles that I have on my wrist. The various sort of imperfections on my hand. And these will come through when I do the highlights. Do the knuckles as well, make sure the knuckles are standing out like they should be. Sorry, 2 seconds. So I'm just adding the sort of semi-detail now, making sure that there's enough of a explanation on the canvas as to what's going on, especially with the wrinkles around the knuckles, so you really understand, when the eye looks at it, you really understand what's happening there before I go in and do all the highlights. I do wonder if I'm ever going to get like hundreds of viewers or anything. I know I'm really early on in my painting career. Right, so I'm happy with that, I think, so far. We step back and actually have a look and see what it looks like. So the shadows are really, really intense, which is kind of what I was going for. It does look like a hand, which is good. So how are you, Manga? So I've got the shadows going on. But what I'm now going to do is I'm going to get some white on the palette. I'm going to use the white to create highlights in certain places, like down here, along here, down here, down here, down here. So it really brings out the hand in general. So I'm going to lighten up the whole hand. And I'm going to use a slightly bigger brush than I have been using. And I'm going to water down the white quite a lot. So like here, for instance, I'm going to put a wash of white down here. You can really understand, and the eye can really help and understand what's going on here. Then smudge it in with my finger. I'm going to lighten up all the shadows that I've done to some extent. But they're still going to be there, they're just going to be softer. A little bit less extreme than what I did. Even the dark ones I'm going to go over and then just smudge it in. So it just softens the whole hand, which is much more like what's in the photo. So your best friend, I think my best friend as an artist, is the colour white. Because what white does, it sort of brings magic back into a picture that you've overdone. It sort of softens it back, gets the highlights in the right place. And you can play with it so much. You can rub it in, you can get it really hard, you can make it really sort of dense, really low. Sorry, somebody's having technical issues. I'm trying to get them onto this channel. So yeah, so I'm really working hard to bring in the highlights and stuff. So it softens the whole image in a sort of sympathetic way, not a really sharp way, so I can get the texture into my hand. Hands are the most difficult part of a body to paint, I think. I think that's the general consensus. It's certainly my most difficult part. So yeah, I'm really trying to sort of capture the highlights now. Where I've done the shadows, and spending time capturing the highlights really brings everything alive, really brings the photo alive, really brings the painting alive. I keep calling it a photo, which is odd because I don't think I usually call them photos, but this one's so photorealistic that I kind of feel a little bit compelled sometimes. It's quite a big highlight there. So now I'm going to go with the big highlights. So there's one big highlight there. So dab around quite a lot of white and just whack it down. Again, there's a nice big-ish highlight here and here. So I can still see the knuckles poking through. I really am creating the highlights. This whole area here is a big highlight because it's raised, because it's the knuckle. Then here again, along here. So really quite an important highlight just here that I'm just going to dab on and then use my finger. Then the highlights between the knuckle sort of rolls. I'll do the same here, get the highlights on the knuckle rolls. So I'm at risk of going too far with the white here. I say that. I don't think you can ever really go too far with the white. Unless you are going too far with the white. I know that makes no sense, but... So let me step back and see what the hand looks like. I think the hand looks pretty good, to be honest. I'm quite pleased with it. I think the wrist needs some work. Well, indeed, some highlighting. I'm just going to go back on to highlight here. So this is below what you can see, but it's the cuff of my hoodie. If you're interested, I've got a video coming out on Saturday, which is the cat video. It's like a 8-9 minute video of me painting the cat. So yeah, tune in for that if you're interested. The commentary on that isn't very good. I don't know why. I wasn't feeling it when I did it. But I don't have time to re-record it. I think the hand is probably finished. I think it looks alright, the hand. What's the thumbnail doing? I think the thumbnail probably needs a shadow. This is high-risk manoeuvring. Maybe the whole thumb needs a shadow. So there's a shadow, and then I'm going to accentuate the white of the thumbnail, just to accentuate the shadow, make the highlight much more highlighted. And I think that works quite nicely there. So yeah, I think the hand is working quite nicely there. I think it looks alright. That might look a little bit flat, so maybe a little bit more work with that. So I'm just going to bring some white down here and then up there. So yeah, I'm just tidying up the hand now, just making sure it's as good as it possibly can be. Sorry, I was listening to that music. I thought it was really quite nice. Grab a tiny bit of this burnt sienna and see if I can sort of deepen this shadow along here. Then obviously use my finger to put it in. How does that look? think that looks alright, to be honest. I don't hate it. It's very difficult to do a hand. It really is. Can't emphasize how difficult it is. Oh, did not want to do it that much. I was just going to put a tiny little bit. I think I rescued that mistake there. Just get some white and put it over it again. Almost like using an eraser when you use white paint like this. And I think it's quite important that we get some of the things in here, which I've already done, but they've just been painted over a little bit. Trying to soften these shadows a little bit so they're not quite so in your face. So that works quite nicely. What I'm now going to do, actually, I'm going to blend in this shadow here with the beard. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to do some brush strokes that sort of go into the shadow, like this. So I've done the burnt sienna, now it's yellow ochre that I need to do. Tiny, tiny, tiny bit of yellow ochre on the palette. Just going to draw a few little shadows, a few little hairs on the shadow. I'm talking tiny amount. Just so it blends the shadow in around the finger. I'm going to go with the flesh tone because I used a little bit of that here. Dab it my finger a little bit. Just the shadow blends a little bit more. I think I've already achieved what I was after. Gonna get a bit more yellow ochre here. Just fix that a little bit. I just did a little bit of a tiny bit of flesh tint. Dab it in. Gonna go back to burnt sienna again because I've made it a little bit too dark, too light. I'm just creating the layers as I do this. That's fine. Let's finish off a couple of tiny wisps of white. I think that works really nicely. Now the very last thing to do on this painting is, I need to sort this out. Here, my face goes much further out there. But I think I've got this line about right. And then it just comes out like that and makes a really thin bit of that. It looks like I'm pushing my cheek up. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to mix the bit of flesh tone with the white. A bit more flesh tone, I think. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go down here and then bring it out like that and around like that. Bring it down like that and out like that. Pretty happy with that. Add a bit more paint on just to make sure it's fully covering what's beneath it. And that looks a bit weird now. Just going to rub the edge off a little bit. So I think that's supposed to come down like that. I'm just rubbing it off. I'm just going to paint the beard in around the edge. And that looks about right. So I need the yellow ochre again. Add a tiny bit more onto the palette. Definitely a bit of Payne's grey on this as well. I'll just do a touch of Payne's grey here and there. And just dab it in so it fades in nicely. So yeah. Then I need the lighter colours, so a bit of tan, a bit of skin tone. How does that look? I think that looks good because it looks like my finger is now pushing up that cheek, whereas before it was looking a bit weird. I think. Not 100% convinced, but it's getting there. It's certainly a good piece of realistic looking art. This might be one of those situations where I've gone too far. Need to learn to stop. There we go. And that, I think, guys and girls, is that. I think I've finished my painting. Have a quick look at what it is. Tell you what, I've got a little sort of moldy birthmark thing about here. Let's just do that, why not? Just do it really softly. I'm just going to highlight it with a bit of white. Yep. I've got another one down there. Might as well do it as accurate as possible. So that's about there. So little imperfections like this on the skin really makes it come alive, especially that one. I'm going to redo this one and just dab it. Ooh. There. I think that looks really good. Having those tiny little imperfections. Especially next to a highlight like that, which I'm about to draw in. So yeah, I think that's really, really good. I think this is a really nice way to finish. I quite like the hand, I'm quite enjoying the hand. Considering I think hands are my weakest point, I think that's not terrible. I think it probably could be improved. I think a better artist might do a better job. I do think it's probably the weakest part of the painting, but I don't dislike it. I think it's pretty good. I think I've done myself justice here. I genuinely do. So what I'll do, as always, I'll take it away. I'll have a look at it, see if there's anywhere that needs improving before I seal it. So yeah. And as I say, my next painting is going to be starting on Sunday in the afternoon. I'll do the sketch beforehand so I can go straight into painting. Might be, what I'll do is I'll schedule it for Sunday. It might be on Saturday afternoon. If I need to do the background, the block colour, that doesn't take very long at all, but it needs to dry before I sort of continue. So what I might do on Saturday. So thank you so much for all of your comments on this painting. I really appreciate it. Everyone says how amazing it is. I'm really, really happy with it. But yeah. Thank you so much. And I've learned a lot. And I'll create some sort of monologue story in the sort of longer video about why I think this has helped me learn as an artist, doing your own self-portrait. So that's that. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope you have an amazing evening. Good night.